as Anthony's wife and the sales department manager at his company. I was shocked by what he said when he came home one day. "I got a 29-year-old beautiful employee pregnant. Please, let's get a divorce." I was stunned. It was so sudden that I couldn't organize my thoughts. Later, I told Anthony that I wanted to talk with the three of us and lay down on the bed in the bedroom. "Christina is pregnant. The cause of infertility was me." I thought I had run out of affection for Anthony, but I couldn't stop crying. The next day, I overheard a conversation between Anthony and Christina Brown. "Anthony, why didn't you dump a woman who can't bear an heir? She's good at her job. There's no reason to fire her. Then keep her around in the future. When the baby is born, she can take care of it." "That's smart, Christina. She's an older lady, so she probably knows a lot about childcare." I clenched my fists at their laughter. They just say whatever they want. They can laugh now, but I'll make them regret underestimating me. I am Susan, a 44-year-old housewife. 10 years ago, I reconnected with Anthony at a gathering of college friends. Anthony is the only son of a well-known local company. He lost his father when he was young, and now his stepmother is the chairwoman. In college, I took the same lectures as Anthony. But I never got close due to the lively atmosphere around him, and feeling inferior because of our different backgrounds. However, upon reuniting, he didn't flaunt his wealth and was friendly and bright. Later, after dining together, he asked me out, and eventually proposed. My family is just an ordinary salaried worker's household. I was nervous about being opposed by the mother-in-law as not suitable for a bride. But when I visited Anthony's family, they easily accepted me. My university education in accounting, finance, and management, and my qualifications must have made a good impression. After our engagement, I joined Anthony's company and now work as the sales department manager. Growing up seeing my parents' loving relationship, I always aspired to marry. I believed that with someone I love, I could build a warm home. So, I never imagined that my happiness would be shattered just 10 years into marriage. At the beginning of our marriage, Anthony was very kind to me. With his extensive social circle, both professionally and personally, our weekends were almost always booked. Although Anthony's friends included men, women, couples, and married individuals, he interacted with them all appropriately. I was relieved that neither Anthony nor his female friends showed any behavior that could lead to misunderstandings. I admired Anthony's ability to interact without bias with singles, married people, and both genders, as I am quite shy. But over the years, Anthony gradually became colder. He frowned upon seeing me, sighed, and looked disapprovingly at the cosmetics in the bathroom. "Anthony, our wedding anniversary is coming up. I'll make a reservation at our usual restaurant." His response was sullen. "Can't you see I'm busy with work? I don't have time to go to a restaurant." "But you've always made time for it, no matter how busy." Anthony sighed deeply and said in exasperation, "If you want to go that badly, go alone." Still in a honeymoon phase? I was hurt by his harsh words. He must be tired and irritated, I thought. I sent him a tie from his favorite brand for his birthday, but he didn't appreciate it. "Susan, you have no taste. I'm tired of this brand. Why do you keep adding to the useless stuff in the drawer?" "I'm sorry. I researched online and even visited the store to carefully select it, but to be spoken to like that. I don't remember doing anything to anger him. Despite claiming to be busy, he regularly went out with friends. Could it be that he doesn't want to go out with me?" That thought crossed my mind. Then, a decisive event happened. I was excited to get ready when invited to go to the mall. Dressed in new clothes, and with my makeup done especially for a private outing. I waited happily for Anthony to get ready. But when he saw me, he smirked. What's with that outfit? A skirt at your age? It's unseemly. Is it bad? Aren't you aware of your age? You're a proper old lady at over 40. The makeup is too much, and curling your hair, it's embarrassing. You used to be cute, but it's different now. His tone of contempt pierced my heart. But your friends dress up, right? They're beautiful, so it's fine. You're different. Dressing young at your age is just painful. As I tried to argue, Anthony clicked his tongue. Dress more normally. Do you want to embarrass me? Forget it. I've lost the mood to go. You've ruined it even though I invited you. He scratched his head in discomfort, threw his jacket on the sofa, and retreated to his study upstairs. For lunch today, let's have lasagna. I want to eat in 30 minutes, so please get it ready. His voice came down from the top of the stairs. I had just put a bit more effort into my look for a rare outing. But why did I end up upsetting Anthony? I bit my lip to hold back tears, changed into room clothes, removed my makeup, and began preparing lunch. When I think about it, Anthony is the same age as me, so if I'm an old lady, he's an old man too. I might not be beautiful, but Anthony is just an average middle-aged man with a medium build, like any other. Raised to be the next company president, he has high pride and is full of confidence. I used to find these traits appealing before we got married. But I never expected to be looked down upon like this. Sometimes, I almost speak up against him. But since we work together, I have to face Anthony at the company too. If our relationship as a couple is awkward, it affects our employees. Thinking this, I always end up yielding and trying to keep Anthony in a good mood. At home, he may be a strict husband, but once he steps outside, he's charming and leaves a good impression on everyone he meets. He's a typical second-generation rich kid with no real business skills. But his refreshing smile and approachability have made him popular among business partners. In contrast, his grumpiness at home is like that of a different person. I'm the president, you know. I can't eat such cheap food. Even microwave food would be better. He always complains if the meal is not what he wants. And rudely has microwave food beside me as I eat. Also, he seems displeased when I have plans to go out while he's at home. Going out without taking care of your husband, are you even a housewife? I'm just going to buy clothes. Lunch is ready to be heated in the microwave, and I'll be back before dinner. You should be serving meals yourself as a housewife. You're living off the money I earn, and yet you act so privileged. Of course, my salary as a full-time employee is less than President Anthony's. But I do contribute a decent amount to our living expenses. I have no reason to be criticized. Originally, when Anthony took over the company from his mother, he was inexperienced and caused trouble with business partners. I was the one who apologized and smoothed things over. You were cute 10 years ago, but now you're like a worn-out rag. Lately, he's always mocking my appearance. You failed as a wife the moment you couldn't bear an heir. I'm keeping you out of pity. Be grateful. I wanted children too, but it can't be helped that we didn't have any. Maybe we should get tested at the hospital? We might still have a chance. When I suggested this, Anthony shook his head. I don't want to waste extra money. It must be your fault anyway. I'll forgive you since you're good at your job. When I get frustrated, I meet with my best friend, Kate, and vent to her. She's known me since college and knows about Anthony, so she sympathizes with me. Anthony puts on a good face in public, so he takes out his frustration on you at home. He's such a hopeless man. Kate, resting her cheek on her hand, frowned. He used to come crying to you saying, "What should I do, Susan?" Does he think he grew the company all by himself? Maybe he's forgotten his humble beginnings. I murmured softly. I worked hard too, despite the support from my mother-in-law and other executives. Thanks, Kate. I feel better now. When I thanked her, Kate replied with a bright smile. I'm always on your side, Susan. If anything happens, let me know. I'll help you. Her strong words lifted my spirits a bit. Lately, Anthony's behavior has been noticeably strange. He's always out on weekends under the guise of socializing. Even on weekdays, he doesn't return home until after midnight. Yet he never seems tired, always looking rather happy. On Sunday evening, after finishing my chores, I was reading in the living room. Anthony had left in the morning without telling me where he was going. Likely not to return until late at night. But unusually, he came home just after 8 p.m. Entering the living room, his cheeks were flushed, unable to hide his excitement. Welcome home. You're back early today. Susan, be happy. What? Why? I'm going to be a father. I blinked in surprise. What? I got a 29-year-old beautiful employee pregnant. Please, let's get a divorce. I was taken aback, staring at Anthony's face. It was too sudden to process. I'll finally be a dad. A successor at last, mother will be pleased. Wait. Are you saying you cheated? When I asked in astonishment, Anthony answered without remorse. Do you know Christina Brown from accounting? Yes, she's pretty. Right, beautiful and in shape. Still in her 20s, and she's good at her job too. Women are best when they're young. I knew Christina was beautiful, but it was the first time I heard she was competent. So, you're no longer needed. Let's get divorced. His blunt statement annoyed me. Over these 10 years, my dissatisfaction with Anthony has accumulated. And I have no attachment to our marriage. But I'm not so naive as to agree immediately. If he's been cheating, I'll have to demand a substantial compensation from both of them. I'm troubled by your sudden request. Can you invite Christina Brown to our house later? Let's discuss this, the three of us. After I said this, Anthony's voice became lively. Got it, I'll let her know. Watching Anthony's happy stride as he went to take a shower, I closed my book. I went upstairs to the bedroom and lay on my bed. I felt a sense of emptiness. I was more devastated by the fact that a child had been conceived than by the shock of the affair. Anthony had always wanted an heir. Of course, just because he wanted one didn't guarantee it would be a boy. But before that, I hadn't been able to get pregnant. If Christina was pregnant, it implied the issue was with me. Would Anthony and I have been happily raising a child together by now? If I had been able to conceive. I thought my affection for Anthony had long since run out. But I couldn't stop the tears from flowing. The next day, with swollen eyes, I went to work early and brewed myself some coffee to wake up. As I was about to leave the hallway, I overheard a conversation between Anthony and Christina Brown. Was she shocked?
Yeah.
She was stunned. She really didn't notice the affair? That's hilarious. It's been going on for 2 years. Christina chuckled. Anthony, why didn't you dump her sooner since she can't bear an heir? She's useful as a housekeeper, and she's good at her job. If we divorce, she'll probably quit and go work somewhere else, feeling awkward. Then let's just keep her around. We can dump her anytime. Once the baby is born, she can take care of it, being the president's child and all. To this outrageous suggestion, Anthony responded with admiration. That's smart, Christina. She's an older lady, so she probably knows a lot about childcare. If we say it's for the child, she'll probably listen. They both laughed loudly, and I clenched my fists. They just say whatever they want. They can laugh now, but I'll make them regret underestimating me. After making various preparations, I told Anthony to invite Christina to our house in 2 weeks. On the day of her arrival, Christina came over like she was visiting a friend's house. "Thanks for having me. Wow, Anthony's house is really nice. I've always wanted to come here." Christina's eyes sparkled as Anthony arrogantly spoke. "You should have said so sooner. I made her cook and entertain you." Ignoring my grimacing face, Christina looked around the room curiously, wandering around. "This kitchen is so spacious and stylish. It's totally different from my one-room apartment. Your place was cute too. It felt like a young woman's home." "Really? Can I see the other rooms, Anthony?" To her brazen request, Anthony grinned and led the way. "This is the guest room, and next to it is the sunroom." "A sunroom? I want one in my house too." "Oh, there aren't many houseplants. Such a waste of this spacious area. Is this Susan's preference?" Christina complained about the space with a glass table, an indoor hammock, and only 2 potted plants. She's here to apologize for the affair, yet she criticizes the interior of my home. What kind of person is she? No, a normal person wouldn't propose having the president's wife raise her child.
Nah.
Forget it. Susan is different from you, kind but kills plants quickly. She must be disliked by them." "Really? Poor Susan." They both laughed heartily, and I bluntly said, "You came here to talk, right? Let's sit at the table and start." Anthony and Christina sat on the sofa across the table, and I began. "I want to confirm again. Christina, you are pregnant with Anthony's child, right?" They both nodded. "Susan, I'm sorry. But this is fate." Christina's eyes welled up with tears, and she clasped her hands together in a pleading gesture as she looked at me. Her overly familiar manner of addressing me grated on my nerves. The baby coming to me means that Anthony and I were meant to be together in a past life. Marrying you was a mistake. To correct this and restart our lives, we can't make Anthony and you unhappy. I love both of you, so I can't allow that to happen." Christina's absurd logic made me smirk. Her self-justification was so extreme that I moved beyond anger to disbelief. I truly love Anthony. So please, let me have Anthony's baby. I beg you. Christina pleaded in a sweet voice, and Anthony sniffled, apparently moved to tears. I love Christina too. It's sad for our child to be born without a father, especially since it's the heir of Takeda Industries. We need to raise it together. They sat close together, making a serious appeal, and my feelings only soured. This incident completely extinguished any remaining affection I had for Anthony. I had no desire to continue as husband and wife. Fine, but I'm quitting my job. What? Keep working. Anthony frowned. You'll struggle to find work at your age if you quit now. Considering your past contributions, I'll let you stay at the company. Really? With my qualifications in management, I'm sure I can find something. Anthony, you're so kind. Since the president is saying so, Susan, you should stay at our company. I don't mind at all. I sighed as I glanced sideways at the smiling Christina. It's impossible. Because that woman. She paused for a moment, then dropped a bombshell. She's been embezzling money from the company. What? Christina's eyes widened for a moment before she avoided Anthony's gaze, and uncomfortably looked down at the floor. What did you just say? Anthony was visibly shaken. I kindly explained. This woman has been pocketing entertainment and travel expenses. She'd fill in blank receipts with whatever amounts she wanted. As Anthony's face turned pale, I continued calmly. It's been going on for 2 years, And nobody noticed except for me. I finally discovered it after interviewing the relevant parties recently. I sighed as I spoke. Even though it's a family business, I thought I should cut ties with such a lax company. I'm sick of seeing your faces after the divorce, so I'm going to look for a job elsewhere. Stop making these baseless accusations. Christina's face contorted as she protested. Where's your proof? The chief accountant you seduced confessed everything to the executive director. Want to see the video? As I reached for my phone, Christina covered her face with her hands and started sobbing loudly. I'm sorry. My father's company went bankrupt, my mother collapsed from the shock and got a terminal illness. And my brothers rebelled against our parents and disappeared after incurring debts. My salary alone wasn't enough, so I just did it. Christina sobbed heavily, as if she had prepared eye drops beforehand. Anthony was easily fooled and hugged her, looking somber. That's tough. You should have told me. I didn't want to trouble you, Anthony. I used all the money to pay off debts. I can't pay it back now. Anthony seemed to genuinely believe her blatant lies. Though she probably squandered the money herself. Don't say that. We're not strangers. Crying too much will harm the baby in your belly. How much was it? $20,000. Of course, you'll have to pay it all back. Depending on your attitude, I could also press charges for embezzlement. That's something our company can cover. Who knows about this? All the executives. Then I'll make sure they keep quiet. Christina, don't do it again. Yes, I won't. Thank you so much. As Anthony patted Christina's head, I was appalled. Such leniency from a president was unbelievable. It felt like watching a poorly acted couple in an outdated romance drama, making me nauseous. I suppressed my nausea and continued as planned. So, Christina, were you working at a nightclub to help your family too? Anthony momentarily looked disturbed, but quickly pretended it was nothing. Our company doesn't prohibit part-time jobs. But you should have reported it. I'm sorry. I didn't miss the stiffness in Christina's face. I smiled as I laid out photos on the living room table. This kind of behavior seems harmful to the baby, honestly. But if it's your choice, Christina, I guess it can't be helped. Christina's expression shifted instantly. She snatched the photos from one end of the table. What's this? It's you with customers. Anthony, you probably don't want to see this, right? While Christina responded with a forced smile, I laid out another set of photos in front of Anthony. He gasped. Understandably, as all the photos showed Christina entering hotels with different men, indicating intimate relationships with multiple men. Christina hastily gathered all the photos, but it seemed too late. Lost for words, Anthony listened as Christina desperately made excuses. It's not what it looks like. I felt sick during dates outside the club and went in to rest. I didn't do anything wrong. Believe me, Anthony. Christina pleaded with sparkling eyes, but even Anthony looked stunned. Really? You don't believe me, Anthony. That's awful. You're the only one for me. Clinging to his arm and passionately pleading, Anthony's expression turned bitter. I sighed and stood up. I brought out my personal laptop from the bedroom, inserted a USB from the private investigator, and played the damning audio evidence. Anthony clutched his head as the indecent voices filled the room. Stop it, please. It seems hotel walls are quite thin. Easy to record through them. Amazing technology, isn't it? As Christina approached me with a demonic look, she hurled insults. You shameless woman. Are you doing all this just to break us up? You don't care about Anthony's feelings, do you? You're okay with hurting him. I'm simply exposing the truth. You're the one who hurt Anthony. Are you really pregnant? Or do you just want to be the president's wife? That's not it. I'll start showing soon. It's definitely Anthony's child. With your history, who knows whose child it is? A mother's intuition. Intuition, huh? At this point, her audacity was almost laughable. Christina Brown aggressively confronted me, raising her voice in objection. I'm not with those guys for real, they're just for fun. The only person I truly love is Anthony. Well, I'm sorry, but I can't understand your way of thinking, Christina. I shrugged my shoulders in resignation and then turned to Anthony. What about you, Anthony? Would you still raise a child as your heir if it turns out to be nothing like you? Well, that's... Caught off guard by his hesitation, I threw a sarcastic comment. So any boy will do, even if he's not your own? Just like a cuckoo bird. What? It's my child, so it's not someone else's. And you, who can't even get pregnant, have no right to talk. Christina exploded with anger. You know, you've always acted so high and mighty despite being ugly. I've hated you since I joined the company. Just because you're good at your job doesn't give you the right to boss everyone around. She glared at me, furiously lashing out. Always telling me not to flirt with the male staff or use my charms on the bosses. You're so annoying. As I remained silent, Christina grew more emboldened and continued in a vulgar tone. You're just jealous because you're ugly, right? You thought you were a winner by marrying the president, but too bad for you. Christina laughed shrilly. Hey, enough of that. Anthony seemed exasperated by Christina's rudeness. He tried to stop her by pulling on her sleeve, but the heated Christina kept hurling insults. You can't have children, and you're not even attractive. In the old days, you would have been divorced long ago. But you're lucky to live in these times. It's only because Anthony is kind that he kept a defective product like you around. But that's over now. Hand over the president's wife position to me. And go back to being single, old woman. Fed up with responding, I tuned out Christina's ranting and raving when suddenly the living room door opened. The arrival of the new person caused Anthony to turn pale. Mom. Oh, the chairwoman? Perfect timing. Christina brightened up and stood, bowing to her mother-in-law. Nice to meet you, Mother. I'm Christina Brown from the accounting department. I'm pregnant with Anthony's child. It's definitely a boy. I'll be giving birth to the heir, so I'll marry Anthony. The mother-in-law appeared exasperated, massaging her temples. She sighed deeply and spoke in a low voice. Anthony. Can you silence this light-headed woman for a moment? Christina was taken aback by the mother-in-law's harsh words. She looked at Christina with disdain, as if she were looking at trash. And scolded Anthony sharply. The only person who has the right to call me mother is Susan. Anthony, it's because you're so oblivious that you let weirdos like this take advantage of you. Christina was confused but managed a forced smile. I mean, chairwoman. I'm carrying Anthony's child. I just know it's a boy. I'll bear a worthy heir to replace the incompetent Susan. Children are essential for the future of the company, right? However, the mother-in-law grimaced at Christina's desperate appeal and spat out. I don't care if it's a grandson or granddaughter. You want to be the president's wife after embezzling company funds? How dare you? But, Mom, Christina's family situation is complicated. Can't we overlook it just this once? The mother-in-law replied with a half-smile. You silly boy. Do you really believe her story? She threw a document on the table, causing Anthony to look utterly dejected upon seeing it. So you had her investigated by a private investigator too, Mother. Oh, I see. I chuckled as I looked at the document. Your parents work for major corporations, and your brother is studying abroad. Your family is way wealthier than mine. So the embezzled money was for your personal use? Anthony stared at Christina in disbelief. She's been caught shopping in bulk at brand stores. It's more like she's in debt from credit card payments, right? The mother-in-law laughed through her nose. Also, the obstetrics and gynecology clinic she visits is run by my acquaintance. After explaining the situation, he told me she's not pregnant. What? She's been going there for irregular periods. Right? Christina turned bright red under the mother-in-law's sly smile. You old hag. How dare you spread my personal information like that? Okay. Anyway, we'll be pressing charges for embezzlement. Kate, could you handle the procedures? Understood, Chairwoman. I smiled at Kate Anderson, who appeared behind the mother-in-law. Yes, my best friend Kate was the company's legal advisor. When Christina's embezzlement came to light, I informed the mother-in-law and immediately consulted with Kate. We were calculating the right time to pursue the matter when Anthony proposed divorce to me. I'm sorry for lying about the pregnancy. But it's true, I do love Anthony. Please believe me. Christina implored with tearful eyes, softening Anthony's expression. Christina. Oh, and Anthony. You'll be stepping down as president for your infidelity. Anthony and Christina gasped in shock. What? Just for an affair. You had an affair with a woman who embezzles, it's only natural. Not a single executive sided with you. No way. Anthony held his head and began to tremble. Anthony has always been well received by our clients. And remembered favorably by other company presidents. That's why we kept him around, even though he's useless. The mother-in-law continued in a stern tone. But, a stupid son who neglects Susan. Who has contributed to the company. And cheats with a brainless young woman is frankly useless to us. No, you can't be serious. Fired? Please, have mercy. I was deceived by Christina. Anthony raised his voice, almost crying. Mom, I was wrong. It was just a momentary lapse in judgment. I'll break up with Christina, so please let me stay at the company. I can't start over at my age. Anthony begged pitifully, clinging to his mother, as Christina seemed turned off by his behavior. What? You were so smitten with me. And now you just flip like that when your mom threatens to abandon you? You're the worst. Christina's anger flared. I only got close to you because you were the president. I wouldn't have given a second glance to a greasy old man 15 years. My senior if he were just a regular employee. Huh? You said you fell for me, even without my title. You lying woman. Believing that makes you an easy mark. That's why I could deceive you. Christina's words made the mother-in-law shake her head in dismay. Both of you are as bad as each other. In that sense, you're a perfect match. Just then, the doorbell rang. Checking the monitor at the entrance, a police officer was standing there. They had come in a patrol car without sirens, considering the neighbors. Christina appeared shaken, not expecting to be actually arrested. When the officer entered the room, Christina started to flirt with him. Officer, please listen. I was deceived by the chief accountant. We'll discuss this at the station. Please come with us. Dismissed coldly by the detective. Christina clicked her tongue and was escorted away in the patrol car. Anthony, who had been watching dumbfounded at the door, returned to the sofa with unsteady steps and slumped down. The same day, the complicit chief accountant was also arrested. However, since both were first-time offenders, they were soon released. Having spent all the embezzled money, Christina had no savings and had to borrow money to repay the stolen amount. and my compensation. Having been fired from the company, she resumed working at the nightclub and took up additional part-time jobs during the day. She ended up working tirelessly, day and night, weekdays and weekends, and seemed to have no time to care for her appearance anymore. When I saw her on the street recently, she was gaunt and bore no resemblance to the beautiful employee she once was. As for Anthony, after the divorce, he was spared from being fired thanks to his mother's mercy, and was transferred to a regional branch. The story of his demotion spread among the employees, and Anthony continued his work in a hostile environment. Cut off by his mother and having spent all his savings on my compensation, Anthony even begged me for reconciliation. Susan, I was wrong. I won't cheat again, let's start over. A divorced man is in trouble financially, you won't abandon me, right? Why don't you ask those young girls you love so much to pay your living expenses? You still have a job, even if it's low paying, so work hard. I scolded him over the phone and blocked his contact, and he finally gave up. According to the mother-in-law, his once bright personality was gone. He worked in silence every day and spent weekends locked up in his room. In Anthony's place, his cousin, who had been the vice president, became the new president. I was recognized for my past performance and promoted to a director on the board. The new president, though not good at speaking, was sincere and respected by the employees. My days have become busier than ever, but they are fulfilling. Although divorced from Anthony, I occasionally have meals with the mother-in-law. I realized that despite being the company chairwoman, she never pressured me for an heir. This incident has deepened my respect for her character. My ties with Anthony may have been cut, but I hope to continue a close relationship with the mother-in-law as a mentor and friend in life.